I actually still can't believe that I'm filming this. I actually can't believe I'm filming this. Oh my god. Freaking out. So everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited. My face is already hurting about filming this video. I'm actually at my living room with a really weird background. There's a PowerPoint up here. There's God knows what else over here. But Heidi's sleeping, and every time I film in my room when she's asleep, I feel like she has an unsettled sleep because I'm really loud, and I'm going to be very loud in this video. So you guys would know by now that I'm pregnant, and at this point I will have been over the 12-week mark because I promised myself that I wouldn't share it with the internet world and my YouTube family until I got to 12 weeks and knew everything was okay. But I am pre-recording this. Today is the 14th of December. You can't see that. You can't really see it on my phone, but it is the 14th of December 2017, and I am currently 4 weeks and 2 days pregnant. I am so excited. It is just actually crazy. I think before jumping into this whole I'm pregnant journey, I'm going to touch on something that I'm just really briefly going to touch on because it's not something I want to dwell on, as it was quite a negative time in my life. But we did actually have a miscarriage back in July. I started miscarrying on July 1st, and I thought I was around 6 weeks pregnant, but the baby actually stopped growing at 180, like the level of HCG was only 180. I'm already at 370 right now, so I'm already far more pregnant than I was when I had the miscarriage. But at that point in time, it was a really emotional time, I guess. It was our first month trying to have a baby. We fell pregnant. I fell pregnant the exact same month as my best friend, Kiara, who is, I'll link her channel down below. You guys are actually going to hear, if you haven't already, our journeys, because we have done everything the same. Like, I'm not going to list everything, but we miscarried, or we tried to conceive first month, we conceived, we miscarried the same month, we've been trying for 6 months, and we fell pregnant exact same month. Like, it is actually crazy how similar our lives are. It is nuts, absolutely nuts. That's a video for another time, but I did have a miscarriage. I've obviously dealt with it now. I was an emotional wreck back in July, and maybe I'll share with you guys more if you want to know more. I don't know if you want to know more about what happened back then, but like I said, I just really don't want to talk too much about it at this point in time and focus on the beautiful baby that's growing in my belly, because I'm feeling really positive, and for a long time I haven't. So I just want to sort of close that chapter that closed itself back in July and focus on this one. And maybe one day I will touch base on, you know, how it happened, how I knew, and all of that kind of stuff. When I was trying to conceive for about 5 or 6 months, I think it was 5 months, maybe it was 6 months after the miscarriage, I tried everything. I had tried pre-seed, we had tried every ovulation test under the sun, we had tried maca powder, which I heard is meant to help your fertility, and every month I was just more disheartened and more disheartened and more disheartened as my period turned up. It actually makes me emotional talking about trying to conceive, because I know how hard the journey can be, and I only had a 6-month journey, so I can't even imagine people that had a longer journey. So I feel for you guys, because it's not fun. But anyway, it's all worth it in the end. Anyway, what I was trying to say before, I've already swear I've got pregnancy brain, but not actually. I couldn't find any videos on, like, when I was like 7 days past ovulation, 8 days past ovulation, 9 days past ovulation, I couldn't find any videos on what symptoms people were having, or what their tests looked like, or what they were doing, or how they were feeling. So I really want to go by days past ovulation, which is what I'm going to touch on in a second. And then I'm going to talk about my pregnancy symptoms from when I found out I was pregnant. So I guess before we can even talk about days past ovulation, we need to talk about ovulation itself. So I was pretty certain I was ovulating around the 27th, 28th of November 2017, which was exactly day 13, 14 of my cycle. And because I had tracked ovulation for every bloody month before it, I usually ovulated around cycle day 18 to 20, so I was a late ovulator. But this time I was like, oh, like, I'm getting TMI for anyone that's not a trying to conceive or doesn't isn't in tune with their body, I'd probably click out now. But I was getting a lot of egg white cervical mucus, or CM as you guys want to call it, and it was pretty full on. I was having cramping, and I'd never had ovulation cramping, and this was all on the night of the 27th. So I took an ovulation test and I got a smiley face, and I was so happy. Then the next morning, on the Tuesday morning, which was the 28th of November, I still had a smiley face, and I just knew it was about to happen. Everything was in full swing. And then by the Wednesday, I didn't have a smiley face. I was completely dry, my cramping had gone, and I knew I'd ovulated. So my first day, I'm gonna do the first 7 days. So in the days leading up to, I guess, my positive test, which wasn't on day 7, it was on day 9, but anyway, I'll get to that. So for the first 7 days after ovulation, I was having diarrhea, which is gross. I was having no cervical mucus, none whatsoever, completely dry. Like occasionally it would be a little bit of creamy, but nothing like other months. So I was like, oh, I'm not pregnant. Like I know that's a sign, blah, blah, blah. My boobs weren't hurting. And usually before my period, I would get sore boobs and I would get more cervical mucus than I was having. Why I just looked down then, I have no idea. Anyway. So yeah, for the 7 days I was having diarrhea, gross. I know, no cervical mucus, no sore boobs, no nothing. The only thing that I thought maybe was my skin was clear. And usually about 7 days before my period, so on day Dpo 7, I would usually start to get like a little bit of bad skin around like my forehead and like chin, but that hadn't come. So I was like, oh, maybe. I started testing at 7 days past ovulation, which I know is early, but I was just like, oh, I got so many tests, why not? Obviously it was negative, and on 7 days past ovulation, I was having quite a lot of cramping. Now I wouldn't call it cramping, it was more like pulling. It almost felt like my uterus was like down low, like above your vag. It was like pulling kind of feeling. And every now and then I'd get a little bit of pinching, and again I had more diarrhea, which was weird. Still, I had no cervical mucus, no nothing was happening down there. Like I was just like, oh, I'm having cramps, I probably got food poisoning, I'm probably sick. Like I wasn't really thinking anything of it. And then day 8 DPO, I tested again, negative, feeling super disheartened, and I was like, great, I'm probably out. The cramping had sort of eased, but was still there. And when I shouldn't call it cramping, it's a weird, like dull, heavy sensation. I need to pull out my notes, hang on a sec. I've got my notes. So 8 DPO, I had the pulling feeling very heavy down low, diarrhea and dry cervical mucus. So really none of the typical pregnancy symptoms at all. Then at 9 DPO, I took another test in the morning and it came up negative. And I was like, oh, I'm not pregnant. This is so annoying. I had the pulling feeling again. I had diarrhea again in the morning. I had no cervical mucus. And then in the afternoon, I went to the bathroom just to do a wee, and I wiped and I looked and I saw a little bit of yellow. Like when I say yellow, it's like a pale yellow. Like it's not like a, oh, I've got an infection yellow. It's like a, oh, is that like old bloody kind of yellow? And it was a tiny bit, and it was like, this is so gross, but whatever. It was like stretchy. Yeah, gross, whatever. And I was like, oh my God. So I held my wee and I held it for about 2 hours, and I took a test and I thought I saw a line. Let me go and get the test so I can show you. Okay, I got my little bag. So I wish I kept the 9 DPO test from the morning, but I didn't, or I threw it out. I don't know where it is, but anyway, this was the 9 DPO test. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see anything, but it's definitely there. Let's turn the light on maybe. Can you see? Yeah. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. But for all you trying to conceive is out there, I was doing these ones. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I thought I saw something, and I'll insert some pictures here. Because the pictures definitely show that you can see something. So this was at 3:30 in the afternoon. I called Kiara and I was like, oh my God, I think I see something, but I don't know if I do. And I didn't really believe it. So I didn't say anything to Toby. And then I waited and I didn't sleep that whole night. And I took another test at 10 DPO. I need to get my notes again. So at 10 DPO, I got my BFP, which I didn't even know what that meant until I started trying to conceive, which means big fat pregnancy test, and I bawled. Bawled and bawled and bawled and bawled. I lost it. Absolutely lost it. I was so emotional. I just cried and cried and cried and cried. I didn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. Called Kiara, which you guys probably just saw in the footage, and just bawled. So this was the test at 10 DPO. It's very light. I took this and then I was stupid enough to go and buy a clear blue digital, and that came up saying not pregnant, and I was like, oh my God, maybe I'm not pregnant. So anyway, whatever. Then I woke up on 11 DPO and I took another test and it was darker. 12 DPO and it was definitely there. And then just for the heck of it, because I had an extra test, I did it at 13. And it was there. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. I didn't actually end up doing another digital because I figured with the miscarriage and with Heidi, I never took a digital and I knew I was pregnant. So these are my little tests. I haven't gone through the symptoms. So pretty much leading up, so I think I stopped at 9 DPO or 10 DPO. But so 10, 11 and 12, I had quite similar symptoms. So I had my BFP, my big fat pregnancy test, my big fat positive, whatever. I still had no CM, and when I did have it, it was like a little bit of yellow stretchiness. I had the heavy pulling feeling constantly down, and on 11 and 12, I actually had quite a bit of cramping, like quite a significant amount at nighttime. I had, oh, and then at 12 DPO, I wrote dark nipples. So my nipples have definitely got darker and bigger, and my boobs are only now starting to get sore. So after 13 DPO, I stopped testing. So I'm now 4 weeks and 2 days, and the pregnancy symptoms are just starting to ramp up. So my boobs are a little bit sore, not overly sore, but a little bit sore. They're definitely fuller. My nipples are darker. My CM, cervical mucus, has come in quite a bit, and it's still that sort of yellowy white creamy tinge with a little bit of string. Gross, okay, yuck, yuck, yuck. But I know if you're watching this, hopefully you're not finding it gross. But hey, whatever happens, I don't care. It's a miracle. I'm making a baby. So to all you haters out there. And then what else? I have had quite a lot of trouble sleeping, even though I feel really tired. But in the day, I'm having naps. So at night, I'm having trouble, but in the days, I'm taking naps. Anyway, it's kind of weird. So that's pretty much it. I had my blood test yesterday, and I was so nervous purely because with the miscarriage, I had a blood test at what I thought I was nearly 5 weeks, and I had tracked ovulation, so I knew I should have been about 5 weeks at that point pregnant, and my results came back at 29, which is really, really low. And I remember the doctor saying, I don't think this is going to be a viable pregnancy, but you never know. And I remember just bawling my eyes out, and we just waited and waited, and then my levels kind of went up a little bit, but not as much as they should have. And then I had a scan, and you know the drill. So anyway, I was really nervous. I think once I got that blood test back, which I did today, and my levels were like at 370 something, I think it was, I just, I cry every time. I just feel so blessed, and I know that there's so many people out there that, you know, they're struggling and they're having a really tough time. And you know, the amount of videos I watched, and I was like, oh, I wish it was me, or someone would tell me they were pregnant, and I was like, oh, why can't it be me? And it just wasn't meant to be me in those times. It's my time now, and if you're watching this and you're trying, your time will come eventually. You know, some roads are just longer than others, and some roads have more curveballs than others. And anyway, I just feel really blessed. That's kind of it for week 0 to 4. I'll show you the belly. I'm in a really weird outfit because usually I just put on like a cool top, or like what I think is cool. And I just have like daggy pants on, and that's very much the case today because I don't usually stand up. I'm either, also I should have mentioned, I'm like either really hungry or I'm like really off food. And one of my massive symptoms as well, which I probably didn't speak about, from about 7 DPO, I was so off coffee, and I love coffee. Like I was off it. I would still order it at the coffee shop down the road, and I'd be like thinking I'd want it, and then it would come out and I'd take a sip and I'd be like, oh, no thanks. Absolutely no thanks. So I'll show you the belly. I don't really have a belly. I am really bloated, but I heard second time round, like the bloat and the belly pop out quite quickly. So you never know. I could get big pretty quick. And with Heidi, I did get pretty big. The belly. Hang on, don't want to flash. We don't really need my pants down. I'm definitely like a little more chunky. And that's me pushing out, like. So I definitely am bloated, and I'm definitely carrying a little bit more like chub than usual, but I think that's because I haven't been working out. So yeah. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.